Can I call this meeting to order at 7 o'clock, please? Can Mrs. Steele lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Can I get a motion to approve the agenda?
I would make a motion to approve the agenda for January 13th, 2025.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you. Can I get a motion to approve the minutes of December 23rd, 2024?
I would make a motion to approve the minutes of December 23rd, 2024.
Can I get a second, please?
Second.
Any discussion,
Yes.
changes?
On page 2. Under the e-biz quote, the first line is Maestro stated they gave gotten. How about have gotten? And over on page 3, I've got it written, so hold on. Oh, on town report dedication, it says for all the years that Jim has put on for health officer, it should also include all the years he was on select board.
Absolutely.
And down on, still the same page, under the review of ARPA obligations, SRLF funds. What are they?
Where are you, Mary Lee? Oh, right there. I see it. Okay.
They should be written out, not in initials for people. I don't know what they are. Maybe I should.
It's ARPA, it's just the, I can't remember what it says.
What it stands for?
Yeah. If you want me to look it up now, I can, but.
I just want to know what the initials mean. And that's all I have.
What do you got, Rob?
Page 2, third line down, M. Brown suggested be stated that the town will spend $2750, which is half of the full cost. I think it was the town will spend no more than $2750.
Okay. That's what it was supposed to be, yes.
And then under purchase of plow truck, about halfway down, second line that starts with transmission, it says M. Jones has looked at a truck at HP Fairfield. I think that was M. Brown that looked at that truck at HP Fairfield.
It says,
It says M. Jones has looked at a truck at HP Fairfield, which is an international with a stainless steel dump box. A few drawbacks. One is white. Wasn't Mark the one that looked at that?
I think we both did. We both did.
Okay,
And
so-
I was the one that brought the white thing, 'cause
Okay. Either way.
I can put both if you want.
Continue annual operating budget discussion. The budget being proposed is $4,413,072, which is $192,542 less than last year. Should say more than last year, since it's an increase.
is that correct, Michael?
It is.
It is? Should say more?
Oh, yeah.
And the last page, last page on the paragraph that says, M. Brown asked if any action on Crystal Beach, in the area, common area of Crystal Beach. We're talking about the transfer station revenue. He is, obviously it's not SI, working with the accountant, but feel could be upside down, 475,000 to 100,000. I think that's supposed to be 75,000 to 100,000. And that was all I had.
Good catch. Mark,
I'm good.
you're good? All those in favor of approving the minutes of December 23rd, 2024, please say aye.
Aye.
You gotta take on sheet.
I'm good, and I say aye.
Oh, sorry, Dick.
I'll get over it.
The ayes have it, passes 5-0. Okay. Any citizens' comments, items not on the agenda? Can I have your name, sir?
Yes, Steve Eddy,
Steve Eddy?
yeah, 1150 Cedar Mountain Road, on the other side of the lake. I noticed in the minutes of both the December 23rd and the November meeting that there's discussions regarding maintenance of Cedar Mountain Road and some other roads. But my concern is only with Cedar Mountain Road. The town's maintained it for as many years as I've owned property there, since 1996. My wife and I bought it as a vacation home. We've now made it a permanent residence the past 3 years. It was my understanding when I bought the place that the town would maintain that road in perpetuity. I was given information to that effect and then documentation to that effect just as of yesterday. I've got copies of it. It was an agreement that was created back in 1988. So I've got copies here.
Thank you, Mr. Eddy.
Thank you.
And the basic agreement, which was created by Cranston Howe, now deceased, and the then town manager, Mike Sampson, most of this, the first 6 paragraphs, does deal with the road in front of the property that Cranston then owned, and next door to him, which is owned by his son, Chris. So I don't dispute any of that at all. It was the 7th paragraph, which is both parties agree that the road shall continue to be maintained by the town as it has in the past. And I point this out only because that was my understanding, and it's been the understanding of several people that I know as neighbors that own the property on the road, some of them as long as I have, some of them more recently. I know and recognize the fact that the road is a difficult one to maintain. Hell, it's a difficult one to drive on, especially at this time of year, when there's road, snow piles along the side. But to that end, it's something that the town needs to continue to do. I know that the board was going to come out and look at the road at some point in time. I don't know if that's happened or not. I would encourage you to do so and set up a time when I can be available, some of my neighbors can be available. I'm retired, so I'm pretty much available all the time. But the problems that we have are evident. Potholes, overgrowth, because the lawn mowing, or excuse me, the town's side mowing, which was with a big machine, hasn't been done past Yellowfinch in probably 3 years. So it's very overgrown. I know it's overgrown because I walk my dog along the road and he wants to sniff every single branch of every bush all along the road. So it has overgrown. And I don't have, nor do my neighbors have the equipment to cut it back. That machine was the one that did it the best. A class 3 road, I'm sure, can never be created out of ours because it's just not wide enough. That's mentioned in one of the minutes about the fact that there are structures being built too close to the road. There aren't any structures under construction that are that close to the road that it would impede keeping the road as wide as possible. There are only two structures that are close to the road, and they've been there probably longer than any of us have been alive. And one of them is Alan Durfee's house, and the other one is Tom Doran's Little Red Barn next to his house. Those are very close. In fact, Doran's barn has been hit, I think, by the plow. And yes, there are some trees and there's some telephone poles that are too close. When they replaced poles there, not last year, maybe the year before, they didn't even put them that much further back. So I don't know what to say about the utility companies, but the potholes need to be filled. They have never been filled. They've always been graded over. And when they try to grade over the deep ones, they don't accomplish that. Just filling the potholes would make a big improvement in the road. At one point, I walked the entire length of the road with my dog, and I counted over 75. Major, not small ones, but major potholes. And they just get worse and worse as the season goes on. And road grading. We used to have grading several times a year. Now we get one in the spring, maybe. We were supposed to get one in this fall. We did not get a grading at all. So I have heard that there's shortages of staff in the highway department. We recognize that. It's something that we all have to work with as best possible. The plows have been down and we've had sanding so far this winter. But I want to see that this is an ongoing effort by the town, and I would invite you all to come out and take a look at it when the sun's shining. One last thing I have to say in deference to the need for us to have work done continually. I did a calculation on the properties. There are along Cedar Mountain Road 58 properties. There are 11 vacant parcels, but the rest are all residential parcels. And I did include Yellowfinch Lane, which comes off Cedar Mountain Road. They're dependent upon half of the road for their access and egress. And there are 5 parcels there, 4 residences and 1 vacant lot. So that sums up a total of 70 pieces of property that are paying taxes to the town. And I was curious. Those 70 properties contributed based on the current grand list, which is 2015, since the new grand list won't be out until April this year. And based on the current calculation tax rate of 0.5392, I took that off my tax bill, totals $114,592, which doesn't sound like a lot of money, because the sum total of taxes that we all pay on those properties, a lot of it is education taxes, and that goes for education, nothing else. So there's a contributing factor there to our request to continue maintaining the road. I'll take any questions from anybody.
Do you want to speak to the individual up there that's digging trenches across the road? I mean, you know more about it than I do, Mike. That's the problem we're having, Mr. Eddie, is somebody's digging ditches across the road, making their own trench.
Oh, after, I remember that.
Yeah,
That's in the vicinity of Cranston House property.
that impedes our snow plowing and everything else.
Yeah.
So
And
we,
everybody driving over it too.
yeah,
I know.
I guess that's the problem that we're having. out
That's a
there.
problem. The highway crew is upset by that. It makes their job very difficult. And their job is difficult up there as it is,
As it is, yeah.
particularly to drive up there with a dump truck with a plow and a wing. And then some of this self-styled road work that people have done makes it more difficult.
Yeah.
So
Well,
that's why this issue came up.
And one of the reasons for that, Mark, is because the grading hasn't been as effective as it could be over the years with trying to pitch water so it doesn't cross the road, except where it should. And there are places where it shouldn't cross the road, but it does, like toward the end.
There's a mountain up there and
Oh, got a quarry behind us. Yep.
yeah, the water's gonna
Water
cross
comes
the
down.
road.
Just wait till spring,
Yeah,
and it's really bad.
yeah, I think it's really unavoidable. I mean, there's been efforts to control the water for decades and decades, but
Yes.
There's
Yeah, and there was talk about putting culverting in places that,
that's the other issue, it has to have drainage and culverts, and is that the town's responsibility to put culverts in, or is that the private homeowner's responsibility on that road? Normally, if it's our road, if somebody puts a culvert in and it's put into our standards, we maintain it, and we replace it at its end of its lifespan. But this has been a little different, and there was like 3 years ago, after that new place that was built, the one that has a big stone wall on it, on the flats past Yellowfinch.
oh,
That-
after it?
Yeah, so if you're heading north or whatever, so you go past Yellowfinch, and then there's that big house that got built, and it kind of it takes a hard right turn, then another left turn. That's where somebody built a stairway and sort of deck, and when I asked them about moving it, I was told it's private property, don't worry about it. I'm like, well, if we catch it with a plow, we're gonna tear it up, and it was just, that set the tone for me, like, okay, we're asking you to not put stuff to impede us plowing, but then somebody said, well, it's private road, you know, I mean, so it's like, you want your cake and eat it too thing, and it does, if we catch it with a plow, we're gonna tear it up. And there's a mound system close to the road, we have to be careful that we're not, getting into that mound system right past that place I was just talking about. So there are some considerations that need to be taken. Water is the biggest thing up there, is how to divert water, so it's not flooding someone's property, doing damage to the road.
Staying on the road,
Yeah.
which it does down toward the end, where it flattens out. It gets wider and wider and starts to cross the road. It can cross the road as soon as Grisanti's house and goes into their driveway, and that's the house. I'm Grisanti's house is, I'm 7 houses from the end, and Grisanti's house is the next one after mine, and that, it levels off down there, and it tends to pond. And if it does get into the lake, it goes in through the little inlet that's at the end of the road, which is why that's all silted in over the years. You can barely get a boat in and out of it, according to one of my neighbors.
And we have no right of way up through there, right? So in theory, we really can't do any work along the side of that road anyway with no right of way.
We got to have permission from all the landowners, or whoever, and I'll go back to this, and I'm not gonna profess that I'm 100% sure on this, because I wasn't here when this was done in 1988, but people on the highway crew that have been here remember this instance with Chris Howe and the fuel and the water, and I think Dick, last meeting, mentioned that he was there at this point. But I think number 7 wasn't talking about the whole road, it was talking about that section of road with Cranston Howe, but I can't swear to that. That's something I'd have to ask those that have been here that remember this, because
Well, in 1988, if there were any, there couldn't have been more than a couple of year-round residents. So the idea of maintaining the road has changed a lot now
yes, it
that
has.
people
You're
live
right.
there year-round. Used to mean that, could you fix the potholes by Memorial Day when we come up for the summer?
Agreed.
Um,
Yep.
And the plowing wasn't an issue. I don't think anybody had a year-round home there until the 90s.
Now, there were a few in '88, and by the time I bought in 1996, there were more. Getting friendly with the people, they said, well, they've been permanent residents here for a few years. But you're right, there've many, many more of them. And I guess one of the concerns that I have now, I have a handicapped wife, and I've had to have an ambulance take her out of our house. I can't count the number of times on one hand, so that's enough. I'm concerned about emergency vehicles. I was watching the house for one of my neighbors who's here tonight, and his alarm went off and the fire truck had to come down. Well, fortunately, they sent one of the small trucks, because one of the bigger ones, I'm not sure they could get through easily. The towns have plows, large plows, they are able to turn around at the end of the road. I've watched them. It's probably not the easiest place to do that, but they can manage. And it's probably a road that needs an experienced plowman. For sure, for sure. I guess I offer to, I'll work with anybody, with the town, to try and continue to maintain it, because I'm concerned about the safety of the permanent residents that are there now. I mean, we've got more than half of the properties now probably have permanent residents. I tried to think of counting how many of them. Some of them are here for the winter till January comes and then they're gone for a month, but they're still permanent residents here.
I apologize, Mr. Reddy, about the grader. We didn't get around to do all the roads twice this year. Matter of fact, some of the roads might not even been very touched. Our grader was down literally for most of the summer. It wasn't really just an operator thing, it was, a non-mission capable piece of
I
equipment, so.
heard later that that was the case, Mike, and the mower machine was out of commission for a while too.
The guy that drives it over there, he used to do Cedar Mountain Road. Scott did, so.
Familiar territory?
There's quite a few handrails on the water side of the lake that are right to the road. I may have clipped a few of those. Pretty even, so.
I can see a few telephone poles and some trees that have been clipped over the years.
Yep.
And when they replaced the telephone poles,
Did Dick want to speak?
Yeah, Dick was,
they didn't move them back as far as they probably should have. But they left the old ones, they haven't been moved yet because they haven't finished moving the line.
We got a person, Dick Coombs is on there. Did you want to speak, Dick?
I wanted to say that I don't think we're going to resolve this tonight, and I think this is all very good input, and I certainly welcome and value your input, because I was not aware of the agreement back in 1988, and I'm certainly looking forward to reading that as soon as I get back in town. So I think at this point, we probably should move on, Mr. Vice Chair, but I welcome all the input, and the whole idea was to initiate a conversation, which we're having. And sooner or later, we're gonna come up with a plan to resolve this that's both to the residents' benefits and to the towns. What we're trying to avoid is the conflicts we have with residents making modifications to the road that inhibit the town doing its thing when the town really isn't supposed to be doing it, but we are because it's the right thing to do. So there you go. I'm kind of rambling, but there we have it.
Thank you, Rambler. I've got a copy for you.
Yes, thank you, and I'll look forward to reading it. You know, we're gonna move on, but,
thank you.
I want to say that this conversation is nowhere near done, and any rumors that people said that we were gonna stop plowing the road this year are false. We're gonna continue to plow it. Nothing's gonna change until we figure out how to move forward.
Wonderful. Thank you for your time, gentlemen.
Thank you, Mr. Reddy.
Thanks
Thank
for
you.
coming in.
All right, thank you.
Any other citizens' comments with things not on the agenda? Okay. Mr. Alexander, did you want to step up to the microphone, give us a quick update?
Yep, so you guys got my written report, and, was there any questions in regards to what I've already written? Couple of quick updates on, well, one other program that, I got a phone call today confirming that we are gonna be able to start yoga again, a 4-week yoga course. So we've been looking to restart yoga for a while. And the woman that had called me back during the summer finally got back to me here with a message and a phone call this afternoon. So that was a good surprise out of the blue on Monday. So other than that, you know, we did the first director's report for the Facebook page, which will be copied to the Facebook forum, front porch forum, and our website tomorrow. So that'll be the first one that I've done. And something that we're going to start doing regularly to increase the regular communication. So it was on Facebook this afternoon. And as soon as I hit send, I realized I forgot to add the addition of our Tai Chi with Ted Day. So It wasn't ideal, but it's a start, so. As I said in the report, basketball is well underway, and one of the things that I am finding is that we do need to find an alternative for the floors with all the salt and slush that's being tracked in during the day. Mike and I are working on getting more runner rugs. We already have roughly about 105 feet of runner rug now going down to the gym, but it's still not enough. People are still tracking it all the way down into the gym.
Do you have a place near the doors where people can sit down and take the boots off and put shoes on?
We do, but this is for an entire crowd of basketball. This is all the fans, so it's like 100 people at once for the basketball games. 2 games, 5 and 6 p.m. So it's a lot of traffic. It's not just a couple people. We do have Mary and Bob McIntyre purchased a couple of aluminum park like benches for us. And we've got some other chairs set out as well for people to change their shoes that are coming in for different events like pickleball and walking, specifically walking. We've got a good crowd right now walking every day, so it's pretty busy in the mornings in the rec center. I think folks would be surprised to see how much traffic is coming and going.
I see you have yoga, but have you thought of having someone do chair yoga for older people?
I would not be opposed to it. It's just a matter of finding somebody that would be willing to, it's kind of new, so somebody that's certified in this area to be able to do yoga. Not that, I personally wouldn't insist that somebody's certified. I shouldn't say that. But if somebody was confident enough to do it, most definitely, we would consider chair yoga. I've certainly seen enough commercials for it.
Yeah, I think that one of the things that we talked to Joanne and Lori about at the senior center was that we're trying not to compete with things that they offer as well, and I think they were starting to do something with that. I might have to verify that with Lori, but I think that they were trying to introduce something for their programs for that chair yoga.
We definitely have spoken about that, and they're going to be doing another session on Walk with Ease at the school. So we're cooperating with them. I have regular conversations with them, and if we were to do something like that, it would be on complementing hours. So if they were going to do it during the day, we would do it during the evening, and vice versa.
John, back in September, we had the joint meeting with the select board, rec, Friends of Rec, and yourself, and we talked about the goals that the select board had and tried to coordinate them, and we talked about setting expectations and measurable results. Do you remember that?
Yes.
So some of the things we talked about, new programming, and, we're really, really behind in that.
I would disagree, very much so. We've got a lot of programming going on, and we got more starting all the time. And the programming that we did talk about, the 5 programs that we did talk about, we met, they started, they did or did not succeed on their own standing. Tai Chi with Ted Day is struggling. West Coast Swing did not have the following that they started off with 6 people. Those same 6 people, for whatever reason, and I don't know why, did not choose to continue. Right now we're talking about, we have horticulture coming on, we have beekeeping coming on, we have now yoga coming on, we have square dancing coming on, we have scrapbooking coming on. I've also had various conversations with other people about the children's hour restarting for the next semester or not. So we're definitely picking up. And right now, I have trouble finding the time to be able to have the gym available for more programming right now with basketball. So, and that is, I mean, unfortunately, cornhole is suspended right now, but as I understand it, there is another individual that is willing to be the host, but we do need more boards, so. there'll be
And are
some
these,
funding.
is this schedule published on the town's website?
Most of it is, yes.
So, just,
That's what I just went through
Yeah.
with the Facebook post that I just talked about.
let me kind of fill the blanks in that one, Mark, because Andy Vermillier met with Hannah to go over how to take what's on the Friends of Rec page. This is, by the way, this is Andy's, this is his suggestion, so that we don't have mixed messages going out there, that we kind of copy what they're doing. And Andy was good with that, matter of fact, recommended it. And so Hannah's now that conduit, helping, making sure that what's put out on their page, there's a link on ours to these programs, and ours will deal, and talking with Andy, I'll digress, but talking with Andy, I said, shall we have like town stuff, that's town functions, and Friends of Rec stuff separated? And he talking with John too, that sounds like they have a plan that let's make it all one and not break it out, and that way we don't have mixed messaging either. So that's what they're working on. I think the meeting that I sat in on for a little while with Andy and Hannah went pretty well.
But is that active now? I haven't been able to find it.
I guess I should have prefaced the update to the Facebook page was something that I've been working on with Andy. So that is the realization of the communication that is on his page, our Facebook page. That same post that will be on Facebook will be cut and copied to Front Porch Forum and our website, town website. So that was what was the posting that I did today.
Okay, good. That was one of the other things we talked about, was having weekly updates on the website, Front Porch Forum, and also with Lakeside News. Right, Roy offered to publish those schedules.
Okay. I mean, whatever that means, if it means he would like to take it off the Facebook page, or, I'm not sure what he
I want to receive it from you.
Okay, well, we can talk about that afterwards.
And then the other thing I wanted to mention, besides that, programming, calendar of events, weekly communication with the Rec Commission and Friends of Rec, is that happening?
No, I'm not communicating with Friends of Rec on a weekly set basis, nor am I meeting with the Rec Commission. We have a meeting, the Rec Commission has a monthly meeting, and I had another commitment that night. I wrote them up their monthly report, and, you know, I think that the Rec Commission really, right now, is in a you know, a place where they're struggling just to move forward. And I'm not going to be the one that, you know, is able to square that away from them right now. They had no meeting in January for lack of a quorum. I think they have 3 members right now. And, you know, I've got business as usual, and it's pretty darn busy at the rec center right now. And if I have to add more stuff, more communication with outside entities, then I'm gonna need, to work that into my schedule. You know, right now, I'm pretty much maxed out.
John, I saw a post that the rec, Martha's not here, is she? No. Martha made a post that, one of their tasks was to look at short and long-range plans, like 1 year up to 5-year plans, and she just sent out a message of what they want, and I saw a lot of the stuff in there ties into what's going on at the rec center, so I think that if that all comes to fruition, that's administrative stuff, that I can help with, and Hannah can help with, but, I think that they're focusing more on the 1 year, 5 year stuff with what they don't, like you said, they're not even getting quorums to attend their meetings.
Right.
So-
We have a meeting in January, and, it's either December or January, one of the other. And so, I mean, they're just in a flux right now. They need volunteers, they need more members, they need to get going and figure out what their new mission is and start realizing that. And, you know, I'm pretty set on what, I need to do in terms of every day trying to create more programming, manage the facility, keep the heat on, keep the place dry, and, you know, we definitely will need to have some discussions very soon about, the heating and stuff like that. I do have some, estimates from Paul. I took that, I included that in the notes, and we still need to pull one of those heaters to be able to figure out what the, more affordable option is. Because that price that I gave you was on a single motor unit. And so there's a lot of those with 2 electric motors. So the electric motor units are like $800 a piece. And that's just the materials and parts. So it's gonna be kind of expensive. So
Mr. Vice Chairman,
Yes.
I think we're getting into the weeds here and a little bit off topic for what we're supposed to accomplish at this meeting with this topic. So I would suggest that Mr. Alexander, Mr. Jones, myself, and perhaps Mark Brown, if he would like, could have a meeting separately when I get back in town, and we can try to resolve some of these things and come up to the board next month with a plan of action to resolve some of these things.
Sure. Is that acceptable, John? Mark? Yep.
Sorry to jump on you, Mr. Vice Chair.
No, that's fine, Dick, that's fine. I'm just,
And one, just so the board knows, I think it's important to know this, the cleaning costs that we were paying, I had to back that off to every other week, because it was not sustainable. So, that's falling on other people to take care of the cleaning of the building. And when they track, like you said, when basketball happens and 100 people or 50 people come in to watch their kids play basketball, and they track all through the building, it makes a mess, that's all. It's winter.
I just want to thank Mary and Bob for donating the benches.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
It's technically, we've donated them to Friends, and Friends is donating them to.
Well, thank you, Mary and Bob, for donating to Friends, and thank you to Friends for donating them to the building.
And all the time that you've put in.
absolutely.
Correct.
It's, for many people who are just volunteering, it's a passion. We are determined that we want this to work. We, just in a conversation here, I heard Scott say, people are jonesing to ice fish because they want something to do. Some of this is getting a mindset for people to understand that, oh, I don't have to just go home and go in front of the TV tonight. There is things to do in this town. And so a little of that can be a growing pain. And finding out exactly what they want to do is a growing pain. You think you've got something that they want, and then, it falls through like the West Coast swing. It was tried and it didn't work out, but we'll all hopefully keep trying, but we've got to keep that. We've got to work together.
I know the reasons why, and I'll share that with the Friends and John. I was able to find out why, so.
Are you still a member, Mary, of Friends of Rec?
Oh, yes,
Okay.
yeah.
And will be for,
I'm the vice president.
oh, okay, okay. I guess you're still a member then. Yeah, okay.
Is being a vice president, you have to be a member?
Yeah, I guess. I don't know if I should bring this up or not, Mike. Have you shared with the Friends of Rec this Castleton Taxpayers Association and all their questions? Have you shared that with?
That was to the board. Was it directed to the board?
Yes.
It was
It
directed to
is.
the board. So I didn't share it outside of that. You guys can read it and decide how you want to handle it.
Okay.
But it was not I didn't feel it was my place to start throwing this thing around.
Okay, all right. Okay.
But it's in your packet, so you have it.
Yep. Thank you for that. I think you're up on this next one, Mike. Warranty for the new plow truck?
Okay. Well, the board had already made the motion on this, but Bob had asked a question about what's covered. So, after doing research on what's covered for that $5,860, for the 5-year extended warranty, I'll say extended, because I think I said this before, it's a total of 5 years, so you don't get it, the manufacturer's 1 year plus 5 years, it's a total of 5 years.
5
And
years or 100,000 miles, is that
100,000 miles, yep.
whatever comes first? Okay.
And it is the thing talks about what's not covered, but basically, this is engine, minus transmission, because that's a separate standalone, and the exhaust system, all the DEF, sensors and, all that stuff is covered under it. What it doesn't cover is, things like the radio stops working, the windshield wipers, the window doesn't go up and down, those type of things, electronic stuff, which was a question, one of the concerns I had was the electrical. So the electrical that's covered under this is the electrical, the things coming off the engine and all that kind of stuff. It's not gonna cover the little small things that all of a sudden, we had this, a window goes down, it won't go back up.
Where did you read that it doesn't cover that?
I read it, I called there's a thing that says what's not covered on here.
Yeah.
But I called the HP Fairfield and asked them, like, what is covered under this thing? And, because I specifically asked them, like, what happens if the windows stop working or the windshield wipers stop working or the dash lights go out? And said, what's covered under this versus what's not covered under this? And so the only thing there's an electrical warranty, that's another five years, 100,000 miles, just for those type of electrical things. So if something in the cab goes wrong electrically, like if you had an electric seat that moved and it stopped working and you can't get the seat back, that would not be covered under this kind of thing.
To get that coverage, Mike, would you go over that? To get that extra coverage, did you say it was gonna be 1,500?
Yeah, I don't have anything, in writing for that. It's just my notes from talking to Mike, the, salesperson at, for HP Fairfield, was the 60-month, 100,000-mile electrical warranty is $1,500. And I know from past experience, and that's why I kept bringing it to the select board going, I'm more concerned about the electrical stuff than I am probably the other things. Because if the engine blows, that's covered under that warranty. It's the electrical stuff I was worried about, and talking with Mike from HB Fairfield, if they have to chase an electrical problem or a wiring harness that's not covered and we don't have it covered, it's gonna cost you $1,500 easily over the course of that 5-year period. Same with there's an add-on for starters and alternator. It's $790 for 60 months, 100,000 miles, and I recommend that one. And I'm not asking to take it out of the reserve. It's something we can absorb out of the operating budget. But I said, what's a starter if we had to replace a starter or an alternator? And he said, you paid for it in that one event with labor and, things that wouldn't be covered under a warranty. So I'm like, to me, it's just peace of mind. I got 2 trucks sitting up at that garage right now. I feel myself getting a little pumped up here. I gotta calm myself down. Because I'm pissed off that we have 2 tandem trucks that are broken down and we can't get parts for. And I gotta keep trucks on the road. And I don't want broken down trucks. And so if I have peace of mind on a warranty that this stuff's gonna get fixed and it's gonna not cost anything more over the long run, I recommend we do it. But I'm chasing around parts right now for something I would consider simple, like gears, or a bed chain, or a bearing and a housing for the bearing, and we can't find them.
But those aren't gonna be covered.
What's that?
Those would not be covered.
Not under this warranty, for the plow system. I'm not sure how the plow system's covered, because I haven't seen their Vikings warranty stuff on that. This is the truck cabin chassis, so I haven't seen Vikings, coverage on that, but I think I've shared with you what's going on with that company and the issues I'm having, and, that, we're not getting parts, and from that dealer. And then we go somewhere else and find today, we found some parts, like, I
The
don't,
conveyor parts,
what's that?
the parts for the conveyor? for
Yeah.
the-
And not through that company. Had to go outside of it. And so they can cross-reference parts, and, I have another email to share with you that I got late today that's, got me pretty pissed off. But I kept a cool head. I don't, tit for tat doesn't work. It's not professional, and, but I think we have other options now. But finding parts has been an issue. I mean, that one tandem's been down for a month.
For how long?
Month,
The 2013?
yeah.
Yeah, I
Probably more
think-
than that.
Yeah, I
It's
think
been
like
long.
5
That
months.
one's been down longer because of the, yeah, it was a fall. It was
Yeah.
fall.
Yeah, I looked at that in September, I
Yeah.
think.
And then the other one, the 2019, that one's been down for a couple weeks now for bearings and the housing,
And what's the bearing for?
for the, I think it's the spreaders, or I think it's a spreader system in the back. There's two bearings and the housings, and they found the bearings in one place, but they didn't have the housings, and, and then they bring them there. We had to bring, actually, Jeff had to drive to Greenwich, New York with the parts to bring them, to show them, so that they could try to match them up and take measurements and that kind of stuff. But, you're told by the person that made it, or we got it from, that they can't get parts, and then you go somewhere else and you can find them. So, it's frustrating for both the mechanic and for Jeff, who's can't keep trucks on the road right now. We're down to 2 single axles and a Dodge Ram, that plow with.
Right, and the cost of the repair is really high when you put all that labor into it.
Yeah. I mean, he's chasing, feel like we're chasing our tail around sometimes, where he gets a runaround from a dealer or parts place, and they send the part and it's the wrong one, and they gotta send it back, and it's like hit or miss. It's like, hey, throw them this part, and if it doesn't work, well, we'll try again. In the meantime, you hear people like Mr. Reddy, same thing happened with the grader and the mower tractor. It's not for the lack of not wanting to get out there and do it. It's sometimes you're just at the mercy of how many, over the last year, how much have we heard about, gotta wait for parts, can't get parts. And it's just common theme.
Still repercussions from COVID.
So
It still is, yeah.
So I did talk to HP Fairfield today, and I said, okay, how is it gonna work with HP Fairfield if something on this truck goes wrong? Are we going to you directly? Are we going somewhere else? It's just farmed out somewhere? And he said, we stock most of the parts right here in our building. And I don't see where we've had a lot of issue getting parts. But we don't have to go somewhere else. It's in-house.
Okay.
Which is peace of mind, again, not having to deal with another vendor or manufacturer.
Can this board depend on you, Mike, to get these additional warranty, this $1,500 electrical warranty and this $790 on the starter and the alternator? Can
We got 4 months, Bob, to sign on to those, and I'm just watching their budget to make
Okay.
sure, because we're chewing through money right now, and every time it snows and it's this much snow, we gotta still go out, we still gotta clear roads, put dirt down, and so it doesn't seem like we've had a hard winter, but they're chasing these 1-inch storms all over the place, because I get the phone calls, or Jeff gets them.
Do we have maintenance records on those trucks?
We do. Evan keeps them, they're all hard copy right now, there's nothing scanned and put in electrical, in electronic form.
If he had a minute, I'd be really interested to see what the maintenance costs on those trucks were in their first 5 years, excluding the dump box, the salt system, and the plow. Because the warranty that we're talking about, I think, is it $10,000?
5,000.
5,000.
Almost 6.
That's not gonna cover the plow or the sander. Both the trucks that are down right now are down for equipment that would not be covered. They're too old anyway, but they wouldn't be covered. Is the cabin chassis at risk?
There is one, the new, let's say new, the 2019, there was something else, I'll share it with you once I get it. There was something else that was wrong with the truck that he had to work on, and I just can't, off the top of my head, I can't remember what it was. It wasn't the same, the chains, the spreaders and stuff, it was something else. But I'll get it from him tomorrow and I'll let you know. But maintenance over the 5 years? Okay.
First 5 years, yeah, yep.
Because the truck's gonna come with a 12-month, 100,000-mile warranty from International, which is now Volkswagen. And then we go the extra 5 year, is that another 100,000? It doesn't really matter, because our 2013 truck has 55.
Yeah, the mileage isn't the concern.
We're never gonna
it's
reach, we'll
just-
probably never reach the 100,000 part. And yes, it's 5 years, 100,000 miles, and it's a total of 5 years. You don't get an extra
You don't get any
year out of
extra
it.
miles.
Right, and you don't, that 1 year manufacturer, if you throw the 5 year warranty on, it's just still 5 years.
So you're paying for 4 years.
4
Yeah,
years.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, like where my concern would be is, say the turbo goes, the turbo's covered, you know, I mean, it's not unheard of for a turbo to fail. Is it going to? We can't foresee the future, but that's gonna eat up most of that $10,000 right there for that repair. You know, obviously, we can't look at a crystal ball, but, you know, some of this major stuff that fails, we're gonna be out on one repair,
You're right.
you know?
But we're driving the truck about 5,000 miles a year.
And the problem is, I think that sometimes sitting and driving them less is more of an issue than actually if you run them over the road,
At 35 miles per hour.
Yeah.
you know?
Right.
In idle time, I mean, how long are these?
The last police car that we sold had 140,000 miles.
Yeah,
But if you
million idling hours, so,
at an average of 50 miles per hour, that would have been the truck that he sold to Covino. You know, if you use the hours at 50 miles an hour, that car had the equivalent of 400,000 miles on it.
so that's why I lean towards getting all the things.
Yeah, the EGR cooler, manifold, I mean, all the stuff that he was talking about, basically, is the stuff that goes wrong, it's gonna knock the truck out of service, but it's usually expensive too.
Yes.
I mean, even if we are doing it in-house, that's time taken away from the other vehicles that aren't under warranty also.
And right now, our mechanic just doesn't have that kind of skill set. And I saw the repercussions of what happens when you do bush fixes on things too. I mean, paying for it more in the long run than if we fixed it right the first time.
Right, if you don't have the diagnostic equipment, that has to be updated every year.
Yeah. Yep.
Does,
We're also asking this one guy to service every truck, fire truck. Police cars are kind of taken care of by R&D, but, for the most part, but every other vehicle plus all the small engines. And you think about this, it's crazy amount of, pieces of equipment that we have. That's not outside of a skid steer and all the trucks and stuff, but the little things, weed whackers and all stuff. It's cheaper to try to do in-house, but it adds time to his schedule to be able to, the chainsaws, the everything at the fire department, the generators, he services all that. And you put that all into a schedule and you're like, I don't know when you're gonna get to anything else, brother. And that's why things fall off the table.
does this warranty, are we allowed to take this to whoever we want to fix it, like Adirondack or?
Certified.
Are they, do you know if they're certified to work on this international?
Who's that?
Well, Adirondack was down here where,
I don't know, and I don't think they are warranty. The only person I know that was spoken of about warranty stuff was, Earl's on their Allison or Cummings or whatever
I just
they
don't wanna
have.
get into, oh, it needs warranty work, it's gotta go to Hoosick Falls.
It might have to, Bob.
It's gonna have to go to an international dealer, except for, the only non-international part on this truck is a transmission, the Allison.
I kinda wanna get away from that,
You know,
We have to have it towed down there in some cases, you know. just-
Every time, if something goes wrong with a sander or the box, we have to bring it back to Viking. That's in Williston. So, I mean, if it's something that's, because they have proprietary things. I mean, the stuff that they have manufactured isn't what
Match up to
HP, some other
yes.
company does, so.
I understand. Okay, that's enough on warranty, and yes, most definitely. The town report, dedication in memory of, the deadline is January 13th, 2025.
Yeah.
That's today.
It was supposed to be, yeah, today, because backwards planning off from when the, warnings have to be done, anything that has to do with the warning, like that separate ballot article for, social services or, or the, 3 ballot articles, Nedra has to have, her last day to gather, petitions and stuff was on the 27th for, so I told her we could get to it on the 28th with any changes that get made. But for Hannah, she has to put together the town report itself, not just a warning. So she has to put that all together and have it to the printer on the 3rd of February. So we wanted to try to get this thing started, because there's still gonna have to be some research that's done on people or groups, so that we have a write-up in the town report. So if I put her back against the wall and I wait to the 27th, she's only got a few days to try to pull this together, and I've seen that happen over the last 7 years, and it stinks to have somebody stressed out over trying to get this thing put together if we can avoid it.
So what's the board's pleasure? You guys have some ideas, or have you,
Thought we already voted on this.
you actually voted on it?
I thought we did,
I don't think we did.
just talked about it.
Yeah.
That was gonna be Jim and Melanie, right?
And then the retirees were going to be mentioned but not dedicated.
And then there was, I brought up, I sent an email out to everybody about the volunteer groups, if you wanted to recognize the volunteer groups, because we have quite a few.
So what's the board's pleasure? You guys wanna make a decision right here, right now?
Yes.
Okay.
So we do have to make a decision, but this is one of those things that becomes really complicated as you go, right? We started talking about a couple of people, and then someone always says, but what about so-and-so, because they worked here just as long and just retired, and then we kind of get the name list up to 5 people, and then you think, well,
And then we forget somebody.
Well, it
and we're in
needs to be
trouble.
within the last year, I think that's safe to say.
Had to be from July
Yeah,
1st
the
of
fiscal
23 to
year.
June 30th of 24.
yeah, I think that's a good parameter to start, yeah. We started looking at,
Passed and,
lots of people, Huck Kent,
yeah.
Paul Egan, all these people that have dedicated a lot of time to the community, but you go back 2 years and then you kind of gotta go 3, and pretty soon we're back to the 50s.
Well, the town report covers that July 1st of
Yeah,
23
that
to
one
June.
period.
So that's the period that we try to pigeonhole things into. And I think Paul Egan, we already caught him, anyway. Bob Ward.
You caught him too? I was gonna mention Bob.
Yeah.
So who do we, during that time period, who do we have?
Well, I think the dedication, you were talking about Melanie, Nancy, I'm not sure if that's what you were talking about, the dedication, because they're not in memory of.
Correct.
They're still here.
I would make a motion that we dedicate this year's town report to the town employees who retired during this fiscal year.
I'll second that.
Past fiscal year, actually, at this point, right?
It is.
Does that leave Jim out? He isn't retired from,
There you go.
That's what you brought up, Mary Lee, was dedicating it to Jim. But he is, I talked to Joe Mark yesterday, by email, going back and forth, and Jim was recognized, and he got an award back like 3 years ago, from the state of Vermont for his a lifetime, achievement award. So he was recognized by the state for his service to the town, both as health officer and select board. And
What's the harm of adding his name into with the other two?
I don't know, except you said it was gonna be in that 1-year part. And he's been gone more than a year, and he hasn't retired from health officer. So
Now I think you're splitting hairs. That's my feelings. Yeah.
he's the one that said 1 year.
I think Jim needs to be
Okay.
included with those two.
I didn't get a second on the motion, so let me.
Oh, yeah,
start
you
over.
did.
Oh,
So-
did I?
Well, somebody, yeah, you.
I seconded it.
Rob did.
I'll rescind the motion.
Okay, you wanna make another one?
Sure.
All right.
That we dedicate the town report to the employees that we can verify retired during the past fiscal year, as well as Jim Lamy.
Okay,
I'll second it.
all right. You okay with that, Mike?
You got it?
Okay.
Does that make
You got
sense?
Dick online too.
Oh, yeah, Dick, I'm sorry, did you wanna,
I'll recuse myself because my spouse is one of those members.
okay. All those in favor of the motion?
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Mike, are we gonna forget?
I got it written down, so, I mean, as far as, it's, now we know who we need to start looking up information on.
Can we go with that, guys?
I'm good with that.
Oh, yes.
Yes? Yes, Rob? Yes, Rob? Yes, here, here.
4-0.
Yeah.
Is there, is you gonna do them in memory of, or anything like that?
In appreciation of.
That's the one you're talking about now, but is there, I don't have one in front of me, but I thought there was is there another section in there in memory of, or no?
It's supposed to be.
I can't remember.
Doesn't have to be.
You don't know. But I don't wanna leave anybody out.
The town reports around there. I don't want, if I do this, I think I'll lose where I'm at.
I'll do that. Go to the Castleton Town website?
Correct. There's a place on there for town reports.
Also, I got a message from Mary Drogi. Apparently she had comments and wasn't recognized.
Oh,
She said, if possible, please make sure my comments in the chat that were made on Zoom tonight at the select board meeting get entered into the minutes. I feel that it's important, especially since they weren't acknowledged during the meeting. Thank you.
I didn't see it come up, so I didn't do it on purpose.
I didn't ask you either, but
And I usually, if I see a hand up or something, I didn't see it.
I don't even see her up on the board. Is she gonna text you her comments so they get in the minutes, or is she gonna speak to it?
Just one. It just says in remembrance, this one's, we lost several important members of our community. We're thankful for their service and contributions, which will be remembered, and there's a quote in there, but there's no names.
I think we'd be fine with the dedication part.
Yeah. I'm looking to see, usually in front of this thing. See it? That one doesn't have it in there. There's a picture, we've had pictures in there of people, and, but I don't see it in there, so we can just do the dedication.
Stick with the dedication.
And, if you're gonna recognize volunteers, like the fire department, Friends of Rec, all that stuff that was back in that fiscal year, it could be done in a different manner, like in your reports. Like the select board report or my report, you can say, thank you for volunteer groups, blah, 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 and do something that way.
Yep.
Yeah, it's tough. There's so many people that volunteer and do really positive things. You know, the Doc Dirksen with the flowers, it just goes on and on.
Yeah, we'd have to double the amount of pages in the book just to get everybody in there, so.
And still you'd
You'd forget somebody.
Of
That
course
would-
you'd forget
Forget
somebody.
That would be bad,
Yeah.
yeah.
All right, I got enough to go on. Thank you.
We'll move on to determination regarding separate ballot articles for the reserve accounts and need for a special meeting to invite the public to learn about why these increases are warranted. What's the board's
Excuse me,
plan?
Bob?
Yes?
I didn't hear a vote on that motion.
I can call for a vote.
No, I guess we didn't.
Okay, I thought it was 4-0 because Dick abstained.
He abstained before we voted.
Yeah.
He abstained.
But you said 4-0, you come out of your mouth.
Because you asked everybody. You individually asked everybody. It wasn't a call for a vote. You said, "Are you okay? You okay?" Four people said yes, so.
Okay, so all those in favor of the motion?
Aye.
I,
Okay.
And I abstain.
Yes. Sorry, guys. Are we ready to move on?
I found, there's notes in here from Mary Drogi, and let me read them. Because she wanted them included in the minutes.
oh, you got the,
Yeah, she said, "We have 4 members. We are meeting tomorrow to write our one-year plan. While we are in need of new members, it is important to remember the value of the decades' worth of experience and knowledge that the Rec Commission has to offer. We are not an outside group." So, not sure what that one came from, but did we say something that they were? That's what she wrote in there anyway.
Can that be included in the minutes?
Yeah, I'm gonna take a photo of it though. 'cause-
Okay.
I think in fairness, maybe I shouldn't speculate. I think that John seemed dismissive of the Recreation Commission.
Maybe that's where that came from. Yep.
I'll send this to Allison so she can make mention of Mary Drogi's comments, because it wasn't verbally done, but we got her chat.
I've got it, Mike, I can get it.
Okay, thank you.
Mike, did you want to speak to this?
Yeah, if I could.
Yes, please.
Well, this is the first draft of it. This is the proposed standalone ballot articles for vehicle replacement and paving. This is just a starting point, but this again has to be on the warning if the board wants these included as ballot articles. So if you don't want to do it tonight, we'd have to have it by the 27th so that that Nedder has something for
They need to be on the ballot.
yeah, well, so, but the wording, as far as like, if you don't like the wording and you want to come back and have another shot at it, if it was done on the 27th, what I have Hannah do is create the spaces for them in her draft, so that on the 28th, after the meeting on the 27th, she can just quickly change the wording, and it's not going to change the format and
Yeah.
all that stuff. So I guess my point was, if you don't like the wording and you want to take another stab at it, then it doesn't have to be done tonight. It's just a lot more convenient if it was done tonight.
I'd make a motion that we put it forward as presented by Mike.
I would second that. I don't see.
Does Dick have a copy of this?
Should be in his packet.
Does he know what we're talking about? Dick, are you still there? He's muted, isn't he? Nope.
Yeah, I'm here. I had to unmute. Yeah, I'm here, and I did briefly look at him. I will admit that tonight I'm not on my game.
No, that's okay.
If I recall my quick look, I thought I was okay with it. So let's go ahead and proceed with the motion and let Mike do his thing, and then we can all take another look, and if we need to revise something on the 27th, we can.
All those in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Question.
So, I'm sorry, Rob made the motion, or no, Mark made it and Rob seconded?
Yeah.
Mary Lee's got a
I
She
have
got
a
a question.
Okay.
If we put it as a separate item, we're taking it out of the budget now? Yes?
It wasn't in the budget to begin with.
So we don't have any reserve in the budget?
We have a reserve for, each one of these departments already has, paving doesn't have a reserve, it has an annual amount that gets put in there. But the fire department and the highway department already have reserves. This is by that spreadsheet that I had presented to the board, this increases it by a certain amount, this amount, 75,000, in addition to what's already there, so that we reach this plateau of, we have enough money in there to purchase stuff when it comes due.
So you're just asking, it's it's already there, but you're asking it to be a separate line item.
No, we wanna put more in. On top of what's already there.
But not to include it in the actual fire department's budget. And like, you've already approved it, this is an addition to a separate article. So that way, if the voters don't want the additional money, then they vote it down and we deal with the repercussions of it. But at least the money that normally goes in there is already in the budget.
Okay, thank you.
And this way, if anybody has any questions on it, we'll be able to explain it to them. As to why we're looking for the extra money.
They could vote it down, but at least it doesn't vote down the fire department's budget. Their normal amount that we put in there for the reserves, or same with the highway department and the paving, would still be in the budget.
Okay,
We don't make any gains, but we don't lose anything either by that, in that manner.
Okay.
okay.
Mary Lee, can I speak to that for a second, please?
Absolutely, Dick. Yep.
We just want, Mary Lee, what we're trying to do is increase those 3 items, but we didn't feel it was fair to the voters to throw that in there in the budget without explaining what the increases were or why. So therefore, we decided to put those as separate articles. And then we can explain to the voters why we want to increase those 3 items to the great amount that we do and why we think it's warranted.
I have no problem, I just didn't know what it meant. So how are they gonna know what it means?
Well, that's gonna be our responsibility to explain that to all our constituents.
On the ballot, or on the agenda item, it said, and a need for a special meeting to invite the public, so that happened once, and Rob made a comment at the last meeting, like, nobody showed up to that one, but if you want to, I put it on there as just a jog memory, if you want to have a special meeting before March election to explain this to people, then it's an option. Once we get all the talking points, pulled together, if you want to do that. But you could do that. You could just hold a special meeting, or do it on a regular meeting and just warn it on the regular meeting and have a discussion, and invite people to come and have a listen.
I mean, I'd like to do that, I just would like people to show up for it this time.
That's why you need to have it, we need to have it at a regular meeting.
I believe that
Yeah.
would be the best thing to do.
I think a couple things, that we should have it at a regular meeting. I think it would be nice to type up an editorial and ask Roy if he would put it in his paper. He has, a lot of people in Castleton read that paper cover to cover. Maybe put the letter on our town website.
Front porch forum.
And I was gonna say, I'm not sure what's the word limit for Front Porch Forum?
I don't know, but there's been some awful long.
Some long ones?
Things in it lately.
The other thing is, I offered to do if you guys want to pick a representative or two to speak, we could do a taping of it and then put the tape out there and put the link to the tape too, so you could actually, like, I could moderate and say, ask the questions and you can provide the answers, and then somebody can see it and listen to it, rather than if they miss a meeting, it's still an option. It's just floating out there in cyberland that somebody can get to it, and we can just keep putting a little post out there saying separate ballot articles. If you want to find more information, go here.
Good idea.
But I can get the equipment from Peg TV, and they can help me do the edits, and we can get that put out there.
Yeah, if we did that, everyone that had a personal Facebook page
Could share it.
could put that and have it shareable, and that would get out to quite a few people in the community.
And all the town Facebook pages, because we've got a lot of town Facebook pages going too.
Yeah.
Right.
Move Castleton forward.
Right,
Yep.
so it would be, that should cover a lot of interest and a lot of demographics.
I'm happy.
Let's do it.
That's good.
So I'll work with Dick and have him reach out to the board members to figure out how you guys want to tackle it, but I can get the equipment and facilitate it.
A TikTok dance video.
That would probably
you
get
guys
the
can do
most
it.
attention out of all
I'll
of it,
film
yes.
Gotta take the vote on it, guys. All those in favor of the motion to have Mike proceed with this?
Aye.
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 Thank you.
Aye, Dixon, aye too. It's 5-0.
And I'll just add, Bob, when I get home, I'll work with Mike and we'll start working on putting this out on social media and making it very public. We also should consider, and I think Mark mentioned this, visiting the senior center and perhaps the Lions Club or other venues either as a group or as individuals to make people understand why we think this is something we should consider.
Good idea. Thank you, Dick. Guys all set?
Where'd all the pens go?
Oh. And there's some in the back, I don't know, on the binders covering up a little plastic tray, Mary, where that rope is.
Oh, I got it going again.
Okay.
I swore at it.
Thank you, Mary.
We didn't hear it.
Was under her breath.
He heard it, side of me.
Transfer station budget discussion. That would be you, Mr. Town Manager, I believe.
Yeah, this is the budget that was approved in last meeting, right? So I went back through revenues, and I looked at revenues versus the operating budget or expenditures. And, because there's a difference between expenditures and the operating budget, because we historically don't spend 100% of the operating budget, but we are not coming close to making the amount of revenue that we've projected. And each year it keeps going down. It's just it seems to be a trend that we're trending downward on revenues and we're trending upwards on the operating costs of the facility. And so my final analysis would have been, it's $68,000. We're upside down $68,000. So what I'm projecting as revenue, it'll be $68,000 less than the operating budget. And I don't know if that's gonna give you, the select board, any reason they wanna talk about what can be removed out of the operating budget, or what can be done to increase revenues. Because I think the scale fee at $180,000, we are certainly the highest around on that. If we increase that any more, I think that might get some pushback, but the bag fees, we raised the bag fees and people were upset about that. So if we raise the bag fees again, you don't have to wait till July 1st to do it. I think my analysis would be, even if we weren't paying the Rutland County District surcharges, which was like $23,000, we're still $40,000 short plus. And I'm like, I cannot figure out how to make up $40,000, because we did this before and we changed the permit fees from 35 to 50, and now it changed the amount of revenue we took in by like $3,000, if that. And then you change the bag fees, and we're still not gonna close a $40,000 gap. I mean, you have to raise it substantial, to make this work.
Do you have any idea, Mike, why this is, though?
The cost of getting rid of the garbage, that you get the tipping fee plus the surcharge from Rutland County Solid Waste. Okay. Both Gansvort and Hudson Falls increased their rates.
Okay.
And we don't charge for compost, but we pay for it. We don't charge for recycling, but we're getting nothing. Rutland County Solid Waste District hasn't provided us a bill or a true up anyway of revenues, what we might owe them versus what we would get in commodity prices in 2 years. And it's hard for me to budget when I don't have figures to look at.
Yeah, it's time to do something different with that.
And so we bring stuff over there and they say, you see the signs we probably spent $40,000 in signs at the transfer station saying, don't put black plastic in this. But they still do, and if they consider that contaminated, or if it's not number 1, 2, or 3 plastics, the stuff that gets thrown in there, like little Susie's rocking horse, and that's not counted. We dump it out on the pad over at the MRF in Rutland. If it's got what they consider too much, they charge us to get rid of it. So we're not even making any money on it.
So do we have another option?
Zero sort's not the option, because that's gonna cost more money. What I talked to Mark Shea about, and other places are doing this, is they do charge to get rid of compost and recycling, but my thoughts on that haven't changed from a year ago. It's like, if you start charging me to get rid of my compost, I'm gonna put it in the garbage. if you're gonna charge me to get rid of my recycling, I'm gonna put it in the garbage.
Correct.
You know,
Well, let them come and bring the compost, and after you've turned it over, charge them to come get it for fertilizer.
well, we looked at that before about turning our compost. Remember that we had, I think it was Andy Vermillier actually was part of that, looking at a way to put a facility up there, and it got into the, not just the too hard box, but into the who's gonna do the work box, to keep it moving and aerated, and they had two different systems you could do. But we just reduced it. I switched away from Casella's and went to that Magic Music, yeah, I went to that place, and we're saving money. Rutland County Solid Waste District went to them too.
They switched to them
Or,
too.
or at least the Gleason Road facility did. So we're saving a little bit of money there, but I don't know, I don't know how to make this up. I've racked my brain out going, how are we gonna close that much gap? Because I don't think we can raise enough bag fees or raise permit fees and keep patrons at the transfer station
Are other towns having the same issue?
all over. And I talked to Pam Clapp from SWAC today, Bob was there with me, and she said, this stuff is everywhere, this recycling, nobody's making any money on recycling.
How is Portland make ends meet when their bags are $1?
I don't know. Unless they have low operating costs.
Because when I had my shop down there, I'd pay my $50 fee and I'd get 50 bags. And if I needed more, they were $1 a piece. So, seems though they ought to be in really big trouble.
How long ago was that?
Well, it's still there because Billy lives in Poultney. It's the same still now. Yeah. It was 5 years ago, 6 years ago when I was there.
I mean, our transfer station budget's $400,000. 400, it's almost as much as the police department.
Did you ever look into privatizing it? I know you had talked about that before.
I got the name from, Mark Shea, Dave Atherton. He gave me the name of the company or the family that took over Pittsford and Brandon. They actually live south of us, down in Pollitt area or something like that. So, he gave me the number to call and see if they'd be interested in doing something like that.
Better make that phone call, man.
Yeah, he looked at me and said, it was the best thing that we ever did. He goes, it was a change. People, they didn't like change, on how things got done, because that business, once they take over, part of the takeover, I think, would have to be, talking to Dave, would be, you have to put in writing, like, what you want from them. Like, you still have to take compost. If you're not gonna take compost, we're not doing this. Because if they all of a sudden drop the services
Yeah.
that people are normally used to having, then that would be a detriment, I think. But
Like
compost,
taking the-
electronic waste,
Taking the brush.
yeah, all the stuff that we allow here, most places don't have all that stuff. So, that, I know up in Brandon, I'm sorry, Pittsford, they don't have all the other stuff. If they do, it's zero sort, and they don't deal with separate bins, but they have somebody come and pull, they don't pull themselves, the bins. So, we take ours to New York, and they're at $92 and $98, I think, are the two, per ton, and we're charging 180. So when you take what we're charging, and then our surcharge fees, our excise
Trucking.
tax fees, the fuel prices, the labor, and all that stuff, we're still making money on it, but it's not enough. And I think we've done mental gymnastics on this, trying to figure out, like, how do we keep people using our transfer station, or how do we entice people to use our transfer station when they can say, I'll pay Casella's or some other person $35 and they pick it up my curb and I don't worry about it. And you get to a point where somebody's gonna cry uncle enough, they're gonna say, I'm just gonna go somewhere else.
Maybe that would help us. I mean, I don't wanna.
I know what you're gonna say.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can,
My price just went up $10 a month, so.
your what?
My price at my house.
Yeah.
It went up $10 a month, so they all gotta go up.
Yeah, well, and we're talking today about, the the question, same question that came up about leaving the Rutland County Solid Waste District, and I don't even know if once all the numbers get put together and the questions are answered, about how this can happen, what are the requirements, what are the cost of services that we want, from them, like doing the solid waste implementation plan, or doing our permitting, or hazardous waste days. That's all has to be figured out and flushed out, and say, is it worth it? Is it financially gonna be worth it? But I will look in, I'll get a hold of this company, it's a family company, and see if they have any discussion with me about, taking over Castleton. They may say we're too small, we don't wanna build, I don't know yet, but I'll certainly ask the question.
Would it be worthwhile to call Fairhaven and see if they're upside down in their numbers too, in their transfer station?
Sure.
Just,
I mean, I think I can call Pulteney, I can call Fairhaven, I can call, I'm not sure who else has one now, their own. It seems like everybody's turning it into a true transfer station where they come in and somebody picks it all up. You know, that we're not hauling it and, handling it like that. But
Is it a point where it would make sense to try and contract with, I'm just gonna say Casellas, to do curbside pickup for the entire community and close the transfer station?
Yeah, that was briefly brought up in the past about, most the towns that do that, usually it's figured in. Jim Thomas was at a meeting and brought it up, because he lives in Florida half of the year, and it's part of their taxes. So part of the taxes is that you pay it, and on these roads are on these days, and these roads are on these days, and put your stuff at the curb and it gets picked up. I'm not sure if it's viable.
Proctor does it.
Proctor does it,
Yeah.
or did anyway.
But I don't know how does it go if you've got a mattress or something like that? I don't know how that would fly. You'd have to be on your
Yeah.
own to take that to Hubbard's or take it to Gleason Road, or,
Yeah.
I don't
Where
know.
my daughter lives in Connecticut, they have one company that does the whole town.
Yeah.
And if you have anything bulky like that, they have to take it, but you have to call ahead of time. So they're expecting it. Her
Extra
pickup day is Thursday. If she wants to throw a couch out, she has to fill out a form online, and they go, yep, it's okay, and then you leave it out there on Thursday. If you don't have that go ahead, they leave it right there.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, if the voters of this town want to go that route, they probably would want to hear numbers of what it would cost them, because if it's gonna cost them $50 a month and they're paying $35 right now, that might not be such a favorable thing for them, but,
I can
Yeah.
assure you it's not 35 a month, Mike.
I don't know what it is.
It's double that.
Is it really?
Yeah, it is.
Last time I knew it was like 35. so.
Yeah. No, that was a couple years, 3 years ago
For what?
for curbside
Curbside
pickup.
pickup.
I think I'm paying $60 a month.
All right, Mr. Vice Chairman,
Yes, gonna cut me off.
I have a suggestion. My
Get
favorite
going.
word again, subcommittee. I think you and myself and the town manager should start working on a plan
Okay,
and see what, figure out where we're at, see if we can work with the other towns that are around us, or work with SWAC, or come up with a plan. We don't even know what the questions are now, so the first thing we have to do is figure out what those questions are, and then see if we can figure out answers. Does that make sense to you, Bob?
it does, Dick. Yep.
So why don't the three of us put our heads together? Like I said, I'll be back in town next week,
Okay,
and we'll start working on a bunch of things, but that's one of them.
okay.
I don't know if we can have anything ready to throw in front of the voters before March, but if not, then at least we'll know why not, and then we can,
Sounds good.
okay.
Manager's report?
God, there's so much in there, guys. I'm trying not to
Just hit on the
belabor
highlights.
this whole thing.
You're past your time already.
Okay. Part of your questions, Mary Lee. Do you have any questions?
No questions.
Probably the good news out of all this is that the money was received by the state of Vermont, or I say not the money. The money was received from the state of Vermont for the project in the village, that $1.2 million project. So now, it'll be about a month or so before it gets flushed out, that there's, basically what she told me right now is said, this is an email I got after I wrote this, that you're good to go to start looking for your municipal project manager. So, I guess a year and something later, it's gonna start moving again. So but that's good news. I mean, that's a lot of money. I'm on page 2, so just on the theme of sidewalks, we might have about 45 days or so, after, Fuss and O'Neill sends out, that Title 22 review of archaeological and historic, impacts of the sidewalk, but since there's already, asphalt sidewalk there, Fuss and O'Neill said it's probably it's pretty quick, because it's already been disturbed. So that, my goal is to get that thing back in March, so that we can put it out to bid, and that it gets done this summer, and just get this stuff off the plate. You've already funded it, so the money's there, it's just getting shovels in dirt and getting it done.
Is this on page 2 where it says small scale?
Oh, yeah, the small scale. I'm glad I didn't have you in school. All right, I'll change that to small scale.
I couldn't resist.
I
I'm
know.
sorry.
That's for sidewalks.
Usually it's Bob.
That's for sidewalks down South Street.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Nothing to do with bikes.
No. But that's the name of the grant, is the Bike and Pedestrian Grant.
Okay.
Salt and sand shed. The missing part of the puzzle on the salt and sand shed is the stormwater mitigation. So I've already reached out to Hillary Solomon and Fuss and O'Neill. They've already started a email conversation going on about what we can do to try to use some of Hillary's grants money to help complete the stormwater mitigation measures. They've already studied it and said, this is a problem, and this is what, these are where the problem areas are. Now we just have to get the mitigation procedures there to mitigate the stormwater.
Is there a design for it?
There's a partial design that was done during the scoping study, but it's not finalized. This is what Fuss and O'Neill or whoever we hire would finish and complete. But Hillary has money too for these type of projects. She's already put her grant program, they already did part of this. So part of it's been done. So we're talking less dollars to complete it, but we're putting 100 by 66-foot building with a metal roof on it that's gonna shed water, so that adds, the amount of impervious surface. So that's the biggest thing we're gonna have to mitigate. And I did talk to Bud Carpenter to give me a quote to put eaves on it, gutters, so that we can direct water, because if it's collected and we can direct it to a certain location, it's better than just falling off the roof. That's not finalized, but that's where we're at with it. I'm looking at I'm on page number 6 right now, under B. I'm just reading the wastewater collection system. I think I shared this with the board by email, but they're waiting. They got like 90% done of the Depot Terrace. Said he's waiting for the state to send the correct report in final language. Once the final language on the permit is received, Jeff Lewis will confirm that no changes are needed to be made to get final drawings and the specs back to me, so the town can bid on as we see fit. But there was some stuff in there that's not in my report that talked about who's responsible to do what. Did you guys recall seeing that for me?
I think so.
I thought I said I included Matt Brown on it.
Yeah.
So I think I did send that out, but there was some information on there about like the expectations of like who would take care of what, like on the pump station, that kind of stuff. So I would ask that if you can, I'll reach back out to Matt and make sure he had a chance to read it, and if he has any questions or concerns about that. I gave you the update on the wastewater break, on Route 30. So I'm on page number 9, under B, under FEMA, for South Street Trestle. So I haven't heard back. The letter was sent out to V-Trans District 3 to extend the grant and get the maximum award of $200,000. So that concrete box culvert underneath the trestle can be removed and a new metal squash culvert put in. And I think we can get it done for the 200,000, and we have a 20% match to that, but that would mostly be in kind. But we're waiting for a local contractor to come in and look at it and give us what they think the cost would be. Because if they come in and say 400,000, well, guess what? We'll get another opinion to see if it can be done for 200,000 or less. I'm on page 10, under C, equipment, under the grader. I guess I'll fall on this sword. I still believe that the grader's going to have to be replaced at some point, but I want to go on record and keep saying that thing doesn't have all this fancy electronics, and as long as we can keep that thing serviceable and running and it works properly, I would recommend that we keep that thing as long as possible. I've made a note in there that another town that or not town, but a company that made a repair said keep this damn thing, and because you can rebuild it. I mean, if you have to put a new engine or transmission or mold board, it's gonna be less than
Buying a new one.
Right now.
And it's probably a better piece of equipment.
Yeah. And so you just don't have all that electronics part to deal with. And he said you could keep this thing going forever, as long as the parts are available. Yeah. It's gonna come to a point where probably parts are gonna be the issue. And we're gonna be digging through, salvage yards or someplace else to find parts for it. But right now, that's what I would recommend anyway. I told you about the tandems. We'll talk about the Dodge in executive session if you guys are willing to go in and talk about it. Ballot articles we talked about. On the beach, I'm on page number 16. I heard that a member of the Lions Club was upset because the gate wasn't down, and so that gate on the south entrance, the main entrance, the cable's down now, so that it can be accessed, it can be plowed and maintained, so when the fishing derbies come around, it's not gonna be jammed up with snow. So that's down. The fire station, I met with the insurance adjuster here for the water damage, and I'm just waiting for a report back on that one to see what they'll cover and what they won't cover. Overhead doors for the garage, I'm on page 17. Overhead doors, I wrote to Jean Fuller. She hasn't wrote back to me, so I'm not sure if she's still working there. I'll have to find out. But I sent an email to her from an old email. We're asking for a quote to replace the remaining doors and controllers.
How many have to be replaced, Mike?
3. There was one that was replaced in 2014. Then we replaced 3 or 4. I mean, we replaced 4, and the agreement would be in the next 2 fiscal years. I would put 2 per year, but we only really need 1. It would be 2 in 1 year and then 1 in another year.
Okay. So we
I
have
asked
3
him,
left.
yeah, I asked him to try to, I asked Janine in my message, I said, if you can schedule it like at the end of June to do 2 and then not mobilize again, and that next one will be done after the first of the fiscal year. It'd be better probably for everybody, so hopefully that will work out. Key control, we're still working on key control. Hannah and I worked on it again. I did go make a visit to everybody. They all got their key boxes. Now it's us going around and making sure we brief them on what the requirements are, accountability, because we've kind of lost accountability on some buildings on keys, because people went down and made new ones, and like the rec department's one of them. The rec center is they've got to get control of the keys, of who's got keys and who doesn't. And we are trying to go back to the key cards too. John's been talking with the high school about re-energizing that and getting, so they can make the keys, the electronic keys. Because at least they can't go down to Gilmore's and make new ones. I'm on page 19. I met with the police chief and Hannah on the roads and streets, because that was the final part of the ordinance, is getting that stuff put in there of speed limits, what signs are there, the stop signs, yield signs, weight restrictions and all that kind of stuff. So Pete is working on it. He was gonna go out and start working on it this week, so we can get that done and get the traffic ordinance back before the select board. It's so old, it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing for the officers to take it, have to go to court with it. It's like, really old. And it was sold, it was typed. It wasn't even a computer. It was somebody typed it with a typewriter. And it's just outdated. And our officers have to go defend something in court, and they're looking at this old document, and it was, the way they did it back in the select board there's so many motions that were made, and then the document wasn't updated. So all they did is put a copy of the minutes from the meeting in there, so it's really not an official change. So we're trying to get the ordinance back before the select board to get it changed or updated. Brush truck, engine 5 is gone, insurance has been removed, and I talked to the fire chief today, and his plan is by the last Saturday in January, they're gonna move all the equipment over from the old ladder and get the new one outfitted, and it will go into service that day, and then the Maxima will be taken out of service, and the guy that bought it can come pick it up. I'm on page 21 still at the bottom, 5 parcels of land. Scott's still here, so I don't want to speak for him, but we did talk today about moving forward with getting an assessment of the town forest across from Crystal Beach, evaluated to see what kind of timber's on there, and Scott, I don't know if you want to have Scott talk to you, but he knows more about it than I do, so if you're willing to let him give you an update on what he would like to, what he recommends what the board does going forward.
Absolutely.
I'd bring my pad of paper.
It's not a paper plate.
That's right. I want to start off by saying I was pruning downtown today, about 1 o'clock, and there's some older people that walk, I see them every day. And she saw the shirt and said, I wish you would tell whoever the road commissioner, whoever sanded and plowed the sidewalks, thank you. So I'm passing that on. I've already told Jeff and the guys at the shop, but it was kind of nice to see him out there, even with 2 inches. Good feedback. Or PR. So, okay, we're talking about the 57 acres that are across from Crystal Beach up on the hill. On this land is some hemlock and some pine that is mature. And in fact, the pine is getting what they call a rusty pine needle look to it. It may indicate not enough water, but it may indicate that they're mature and going by. So I talked to Mike about getting some money off from it by logging it. So I've walked it a little bit, not much. The price of pine and hemlock are high. The problem is, so I'm a forester, but I haven't been registered in 12 years with the state of Vermont's forestry guide. That started 10 years ago. So for me to go up there and mark it, they use so many different ways than I did. So I wouldn't be, it's over my head, is what I should say. So Mike gave me a list today of probably 20 foresters. I called 12. I did talk to 4. And 3 of the 4 would not be able to get to this, to mark it or look at it until July. Just that busy. So I went back to a guy I worked with very much, Andy Hutchins. He's retired now, forester, 45 years, Forestdale area. And right now, when he used to do it, it was 3 to 4% is what he would get to do this job of the total income. So if it was 10,000, he would get the 3 or 4%, or it's 40,000. The 4 people I talked to, 2 of them want 20%. And there's no negotiation. So if we're paying, or he's getting 20%, and the logger is, because it's pine, softwood, is gonna get 60%, it doesn't leave much at all for us. So I called back Andy, he's a great friend, and his opinion, and I talked to Mike about this, is why do we need a forester to come in and mark this? When he thinks you get a reliable, well-known logger that's not going to tell you I'm taking 100 trees and he takes 135 trees. And that's, in the past, the way a lot of them get their extra money. Just point blank way to put it. So one of the questions I had with Mike was, do we have to put this out, mark it and put it out as an open bid for loggers to bid on it? Or because we own it, can we just choose someone to come in and log it? And one of the suggestions he had is, one of my summer jobs was Mill River Lumber, scaling lumber. We would do 1 million board feet every 2 months as an internship. So I've done a lot of that with a lot of people local. And as long as every load is marked when it goes on a truck, you have a control of it through that way, if you know the logger, so they're not doing it Sunday night at 10 o'clock. So there's a piece of land up there that was done, and I'm pretty sure it was, of course, the surveyor,
Mark Corsell.
and I'm gonna throw this name out there, Brian Book did this. Well-known family, honest, what he says he's gonna do is what he does. And as for other people, I don't know many that I would trust. Just being right straightforward. So, I think there is money there that we can make, because we already own it, so why not take the lumber instead of it falling down and get something out of it? So I guess I'm asking, is this something we have to put out for bid, or is this something the board would feel comfortable and just having somebody go out with me, walk it, and say, okay, there's 100 trees at 400 feet a tree, or there's 200 trees, and we have a guesstimation, and he would give you, two prices, you know, a high and a low. And it would be somewhere in that ballpark. So I know it's a lot to throw on you to talk and think about, but.
What would be the difference? What's the high and low?
So
What does it mean?
If there was 100 trees, you know, you'd be, say, $10,000. If there was 200 trees, you may be as high as $30,000. Depends on how many trees up there are 18 inches and bigger that we would consider mature. So if you go for what is a mature hemlock, you don't always go by the diameter, you go by the height. Because a lot of them on ledge may have a hollow core the first 4 feet. You won't know that till you've cut a few. So we were gonna try and do our chainsaw group up there, certification, and we took the man up there that runs the course. He shook his head, he says, oh my God, we're gonna take him out of here in stretchers. It just was not safe enough for somebody to learn. So, any other questions or how you might want to proceed?
Can I weigh in, Mr. Vice Chair?
Yes, absolutely.
My opinion is, Scott, you know what you're doing, and you have Mr. Book, I don't recall the first name, that you trust and feel he knows what he's doing?
Yes, Brian. And I'm
Okay.
pretty sure everybody here knows him.
We do.
Well, I know the Book family, I don't know Brian, but I know Harold, they must be related. So I would say that if, my opinion, and this is only my opinion, board, is that if, Scott and Mr. Buck want to go up and look at our lot and see what they think it's worth, and if they think they can harvest it responsibly in a safe manner, we should at least have that conversation, and before we go out to bid or anything else. And I don't know if we legally have to send it out to bid, or if we have the authority to do that. So that's something that, you know, we have to research to find out what we can legally do. Ethically, I don't see a problem with taking two people we trust and having them go do the job, but that's only, once again, my opinion.
Yeah, right. But the foresters that I have talked to didn't think that you needed them to come out and mark it when you already are gonna be you're the owner and you're gonna be paid for it versus we're paying somebody.
You know, it's the same, Scott, as if I needed a tree cut in my yard and you're willing to do it, and I trust you and I hire you to do it, so you just do it.
Right.
That's where I'm at mentally right now. I don't know where the rest of the board is, but I think if you wanted to go up and take a walk around and come up with an estimate of what you think it's worth, and also we have to think about, is that the right thing to do with that property? Because we'd like to see it maybe transferred into a place that has some sort of trail network, you know, for hiking or cycling or both. And would it be better to leave the trees there, or should we harvest them and use that money to develop some trails? So there's a conversation starter for the rest of the board.
Yeah, and I did ask that, like, one of the things Randy Hutchins said was the same thing. He's a mountain biker, Chittenden Dam every weekend. And this would give you some roughed-in skid trails that a group of people could probably go out and turn into mountain biking or hiking something. More than what's there now. There isn't anything.
I think the health of the town forest up there, by taking these mature trees and taking that canopy down,
Yes.
is gonna help in the long run. with the health of that, and no more trees will grow, and we could maybe sustain this over time, like the responsible foresting is supposed to do. I mean, I've been bringing this up to the select board for a few years now, it's just, that old, I say old, but that mature wood that's up there, it's gonna get past its useful period, and it's just gonna end up rotting and falling on the ground, and, it doesn't really help the responsible forestry part of it, but, I know that there was talk about having bike and walking trails up there, and this is a way to, like, get access and see what we really have and what's feasible.
Well, let me throw one more thing out there before I shut up, is that this might be an opportunity to make this town more attractive. And, Mr. Brown, you should weigh in on this, is if we can find a way to turn this into something that's a resource for the town, we should do that.
Yeah, I agree with that absolutely. I think this is a good opportunity to, rough in some roads, clean up this wood before it goes by, and give us a better opportunity to look at what we have and say, what are the options to better utilize it than what we're doing?
Well, another question that we should get an answer to, this might be one for the town manager or one for the board, is if we realize some revenue from this, say it's 20,000 or 40,000 or whatever the number is, can we use that money to develop infrastructure for that site, or do we have to use that as general revenue and then go back to the voters to authorize an expenditure?
I have an opinion on it, but I'd rather, get an opinion from the league, before I answer that.
Okay, well, it might be appropriate to take a deeper dive. I just want to throw it out there for thought.
It's that, I think you're gonna get an answer that the select board can make the decision to use that revenue from that product to do it, like, we get we get money from metal, and, you guys make the decision how to use it. It's not part of the normal revenue stream or a budget surplus and that kind of stuff. I think that's the answer is gonna come back, but I wanna make sure.
Well, we want to do two things for sure. We want to make sure whatever we do is legal and ethical, but we also want to make sure we do things that are in the best interest of the town.
Yep.
One other, yeah. sorry.
Well, I'm always the devil's advocate on this board. I wish I could be comfortable with you just taking out one person, and you picked a very good person, and I will speak highly of the Bookses.
Yeah.
But I think that shuts out, we have other loggers in town, and I think we need to maybe take 3 of them up with you. I don't know how Mr. Book would feel about that, but I don't think it's fair to just single out one person and take them up, and they would expect to have the job or whatever. I just don't think that's quite right.
So if you.
You're right about that. I agree with that, Bob. You're making a good point.
So the thing that I have run into is if you have 2 or 3 people and they're walking the forest, are they looking at the same trees, all of them together, or are they looking at something different than the other guy? And then that may boil back to, you gotta mark it.
You don't feel you should mark it?
I don't feel if it's $2,000 or it's $6,000 is worth having a licensed forester just because he has that name go in and mark it.
And give up 20%.
Right off the bat, 20%. The thing with a local person, and I'm gonna throw us out again, the books, they have a mill. They take pine or hemlock right down to 10-inch. So the byproducts of the tops, which will not be much, go to the pellet mill. When other loggers are gonna come in and take the prime, and you know what happens to a lot of the rest.
It stays there.
Right.
Yeah.
So Scott, I have a question for you, sir. Do you feel whether you're licensed or certified or whatever the right word is, do you feel you're qualified to market?
Yes.
All right, then why don't you take a walk up there and decide what you think the right thing to do is, and then come back to the board with a report, and then we'll decide where to go from there.
You okay with
Does that
that?
make sense, board? Do you agree with that?
Yeah, and I'm not gonna mark them. Most people that would go in and mark them would have a blue or a purple blaze, you know, so it hits ground level and up 5 feet, so the forest or logger that's coming in, when he makes a slash cut, he leaves the dot on the ground of the tree, so you know that was a marked tree.
Well, I don't know how it works, Scott, so if you go up there and take a look and then come back with an opinion and report back to the board, perhaps we should go from there. What's the rest of the board think? I'm just trying to come up with a course of action.
I like that, Dick, yeah. Yeah, you're capable of doing this, Scott, I know you are.
I mean, we'll just, the difference is we're gonna pay Scott his rate to do
Yep.
it versus somebody else that's gonna take 20%. I don't know.
I would go ahead with the books, personally.
I know, and I wanna say that too, but
I want to be fair too, but I think that
How many of the other loggers in town have their own sawmill though?
well, that was just brought up by
So
Scott.
that changes, that
It-
kinda changes
It does
the,
change a lot of it, yeah.
the situation.
Yeah, sure does.
Yeah.
And
well,
they give her
people
the
develop
tops.
a reputation, whatever that is. And
Right.
you look at that to make a
Well,
decision where you're going.
So let's all agree to have Scott go take a look and then come back to us, and then we'll come up with a course of action.
Okay.
You agree with that, Scott?
Yes, and maybe people could put names down that they might know of somebody that's a logger that they're thinking of.
Particularly if they're a logger that's capable of sawing the lumber.
Yeah.
Yeah, and disposing of the tops, that's huge.
Yeah, we don't leave the tops up in there.
Yeah.
And, you know, and what's gonna happen to the whole job, because, you know, what's your first scenario, Scott, is definitely a preferred option. And if someone else comes up with a better option, then we're willing to listen to it, but at this point in time, I like your plan.
Yeah. Okay. I would like to just say one other thing quick. I went downtown and we have the price on the big cottonwood. So on Main Street alone, let's say from the cobbler house to the railroad station, there's 8 to 10 trees that are mature and very big. Not saying they have to be taken down, but this is a number of trees that in the future we're gonna have to. Just to give you an idea of price-wise, what might be coming in 5 to 10 years. Okay? And the other thing I was talking or thinking about was when they redo the sidewalks and all of the brickwork are coning up because of the root balls, like in front of the post office suite, that's danger. So Raylan has put a box on the sidewalk where the bricks are and built it up a foot with pine bark or something so that you don't walk through there and trip. And that would save, for instance, in front of the bank, 4 trees right there. Because if they did that brickwork where it should be, those trees are not, they're gonna be in trouble. And they're Norway maple trees, and their maturity, if they go 40 years and they're 18 inches, that's extinct. They don't get that big. And we're close to that now.
I think that, when they put that sidewalk through, there's very little wiggle room, that there's gonna be trees that are gonna end up probably having to be replanted. And that was part of that scoping study was, it's gonna kill some trees and we're gonna have to replant.
Yeah.
Otherwise, because you can't dig down and put the sidewalk in without hitting roots.
Right.
They'll just go across that whole area.
So this tree's gotta come out.
There are trees that we know that if you put the sidewalk through, and you cut those roots, that tree has a high probability probably of dying anyway. And then we're gonna come in and take the tree out with the stump there after you put brand new sidewalks in there.
Yeah, sidewalk, brick, and pavement.
Yeah.
It's gonna ruin
The whole brick will get changed.
it. Right.
So you better give us a list of what trees have gotta come out, Scott.
Okay.
Yeah, I know, that's why I was
Yeah.
just trying to
Absolutely.
add feed to the,
Well, that'll be part of the sidewalk project, so.
Yeah, but we can't wait till a month before the sidewalk project starts to be thinking about taking these trees out either, so.
right.
Well, that should be the contractor's job that's coming through.
They'll have to take stuff out, but I think we have to identify, like, where those are gonna be. Because it happened with this sidewalk project. We had to move the sidewalk away from the tree to save the roots, and then it turned the sidewalk, so you had to go on a different angle, and if we could get ahead of this thing and, know, like, is this tree gonna have to go or not go?
Right.
And some of them may not know until they start digging.
Right,
So you got your work orders,
yep.
okay?
Thank you for your time.
Yeah,
Thanks,
absolutely.
Scott.
Thanks, Scott.
Yep.
You wanna finish up your manager report?
That's it, that's,
Oh,
the
that's it?
the last thing on the end was that hazardous trees on,
Okay,
that one on, 405 Main Street. So now we're just waiting for, the contractor to schedule a day to come in and do it, and I'll let the Lamies know when that is.
he didn't give me any idea when, he didn't say next week or next month or, oh boy, okay.
They want to do it when, they want to make sure it was frozen, so that they did less damage to the ground. Because if they do it on the town side of it, we're going to have to go back and fix it probably, and I'd just soon not do that. Because even though it's their lawn,
Yep,
you know, the argument's gonna be about that, so.
okay. All right,
Frozen now.
No, I hope so.
purchase orders for approval. I think we have two of them, Mr. Steve.
Yep, you wanna wait for Mary Lee?
Yeah. We'll wait 30 seconds or 45 seconds. I'm not going to knock on the door if that's what you're asking.
No.
No.
Maybe we can do it without her.
I don't think she really cares. She's
All right.
got him, she's got him in front of her, so she knows, yeah.
I would make a motion to approve warrant number 053222 to Decatur Electronics LLC for the sum of $4,900 for the pole-mounted speed display sign and shipping.
I think you said warrant, not purchase order.
Or, sorry, I'll take that back.
Just redo it over, because she's here now.
It was just a test run.
Well, if you got done on time, I wouldn't, had to leave.
I would make a motion to approve purchase order number 053222 to Decatur Electronics LLC for the sum of $4,900 for one pole-mounted speed display and shipping.
Can I have a second?
How come I don't see that?
That's new. It's
That was an add-in.
It's an add-on.
Oh, okay.
We'll have to write it in on the, I'll have to write it in. You have the, who's the original?
I do.
You need it right now?
I just want to write on the original, because you
You want to show that to Mark real quick? And
No, I'm good.
you're good? Can I get a second out of you, or?
Second.
Second? And Mark? Any questions? Guess not. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
How about you, Dick? Maybe he fell asleep on us.
Maybe he's going to the
Sorry,
bathroom too.
I say aye.
Okay.
I'm trying to get the cursor over to unmute.
Okay, 5-0. It passes. You want to do the other?
I would make a motion to approve purchase order number 053594 to Firefighter Training LLC for the sum of $3,000.
Did you want to put in the,
More.
yeah, do you want to put in the $2,500 paid by the?
Do we have to put that in?
It'd be nice having the minutes for the accounting.
Yeah, I think it.
So I would make a motion to approve purchase order number 053594 for the sum of $3,000 with $2,500 to be reimbursed by the passive scholarship.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion on it?
Just
Just
what,
throw it in there, that's for, training for the new tower truck for the fire department.
Okay.
is this an outside training company that comes to train them?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Any more questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay?
Aye. Passes 5-0.
Sorry, Al's probably got it, but who was the second on that one?
Mark seconded it, I believe.
Yes.
All right, thank you.
On to warrants.
Warrant for approval?
I would make a motion to approve warrant number 0113R for the sum of $25,450. Warrant number 0110 for the sum of $41,181.09. Warrant number 0113 for the sum of $290,699.73. Warrant number 1226P for the sum of $21,347.66. Warrant number 0102P for the sum of $19,061.66. And warrant number 0109P for the sum of $21,411.16.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I hear too as well.
Is there an original over there? Bob?
Yeah, this says copy, doesn't it?
Yeah. Is it on the red folder?
It could be. It would
In the
be,
red folder, Bob.
it'd be in the red folder?
It's right there.
Oh, right
On
here.
top of the red folder, usually.
Yep.
Okay.
So I gotta start handing those out, right?
Yep.
Just go ahead and hand them out now.
Come on, let's go.
Is he talking to us?
And I gotta write on there too.
You gotta write that?
Yeah,
All
I
right.
just wrote it down here and then realized that mine's a copy.
Do I have to sign
Yes,
this?
Robert, I'm talking to you.
Do I have to sign these purchase orders, Dick or Mike? Do
Yeah,
we
you should initial and date them
Yep.
as select board approval.
initial and date them?
One of them, she may have written select board on one of them, Bob, because the other one was an ad, so she didn't have it. But if not, just write it, like,
Where do I put it?
right in here somewhere.
Right in there?
Yeah,
Just initial and date it?
yep. And-
Yeah, the ones that don't have it on there, I just write select board approval, initial and date it, Bob.
Okay.
Just, and it's probably not necessary because it's in the minutes, but it certainly helps the accountants and the auditors all feel happy.
Okay. Probably should have done a different color frame, right?
That's all right.
Okay.
We'll manage.
I don't think the auditors care what color it is, Bob.
Okay, well, it does make it stick out a little bit better, but,
Yeah, well, as long as it's there, you know, they're pretty thorough, they'll look for it.
okay.
Bookkeepers
They
are
can't
not
check
collecting.
that one, you know, it's one of those deals where they only look at a certain percentage of purchase orders throughout the year.
Uh-huh.
But if they pick one that doesn't have the approval on it, then that causes them to dive deeper, whereas if it's already there, it's already done.
They can only see in black and white anyway.
I'll put those in the red folder for you, Michael, is that what we do?
So, Mark, you know how
Yes.
auditors, work. You just have to make
Just
sure
on
you
the
get,
outside.
On top and the outside? Okay.
if you get everything right, they don't dive very deep.
That's right.
Here's the,
But then again, you have to make a point of getting everything right.
yeah, that's the cover sheet.
Can you count them off?
You haven't signed it.
No, I don't.
You might lose them.
I deserve this punishment.
I signed your petition, didn't I?
You did, so you got permission to hammer on me all you need to.
That's right.
I'm signing up for another 3 years of this.
No, only 2. I only got 2 more.
Yeah, but. I get
Yeah,
more than this another 3 years.
I suppose I can come in as a harasser and sit there.
Did you guys discuss the add to the social services one?
I didn't know I was supposed to do that.
Yeah,
I
that's-
gotta add that to it?
yeah, it's the, that's gotta get added to the ballot. I'm sorry, I thought of.
How do I do that?
Well,
I don't know how to do that.
you've already done the agenda. Hey, Dick, or Mark, whoever, there's Nedra received a petition from a organization that wants to add, $3,000, they're asking for $3,000, for a social services program. And, Nedra, obviously, the board needs to approve putting it on the warrant, on the, warning. So how do they handle that one, that we're at the end of the meeting?
That's a question, that's not one that's normally, not one of the ones that historically has been done, Mike, is that correct?
This is the first one, so they had, that's why they had to get the petition.
So, perhaps, well, in this case, it's not something that, needed to be warned on an agenda in advance, so if we just do it under select board concerns, I don't think anyone would have a problem with it. What is the organization?
Slate Valley Cares, I believe is exactly what it says. I'm gonna read exactly what it says. Support of Slate Valley Cares to provide food security services to residents of the town of Castleton, Vermont. They serve more than just Castleton, but,
Now, is that something that we could do without causing Nedra any angst if we included it in the warning and then approved it in the next select board meeting, or should we do it now?
I think that has to be approved by you guys to get on the warning.
All right, then, I would suggest to the vice chairman that he include it in select board comments when we just get it done.
Right.
I can't believe that that's gonna be a hotly contested item.
I haven't spoken to Justin about it yet because we have Castleton Cares here, and I think there's a big difference I say big difference, there's a noticeable difference, I guess, in what the Slate Valley provides for services and what we do as far as like number of days they're open and stuff like that. They're a little bit more accessible, I believe, is what I was told today anyway. Because if Castleton Cares said, hey man, you could have given us $3,000 and we could have done a lot with that, is this gonna get somebody's nose bent out of shape? I
But
don't know.
do we have to though, cause they got a petition, so do we have to put it on? We have to approve it, right?
I don't believe we have much option, Rob. I think we legally have to include it in the warning.
So then there's
I'm
no,
not 100% sure of that, but I'm pretty confident that's correct.
That's how I would interpret it.
Yeah.
And then it's up to the voters,
yeah, then
At
there's no
town meeting.
conversation on it.
if someone will be there or not, to discuss why they want the money and what they're
I
gonna
didn't see
do.
that on the back. I thought it was here for us to sign. That explains it right in the back.
Yeah.
She told me today about it too, so. It's got
Yeah,
enough
it's,
signature.
yeah, it has to go.
Yeah, yeah. It's
It's
like,
tough, because it does overlap Castleton Cares.
it does.
But if we legally have to include it, I don't think there's much to discuss, is there?
Correct.
No,
No,
there's
no,
not.
probably not, but I wish I could have told Justin before they hear it from someone. I'll let him know tomorrow, but.
Yeah, I feel we don't have a choice, so.
No, we have to.
I would make a motion to add an article to the ballot that reads, shall the town of Castleton vote to raise, appropriate, and expend the sum of $3,000 for the support of Slate Valley Cares to provide food security services to the residents of the town of Castleton.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Yes, I think that it should be in the minutes that is going to be included in the warning because of a petition that was signed by the appropriate number of Castleton voters.
Good call.
Absolutely. All those
You got
in favor?
that, Allison?
Yep, got it.
All right, thanks.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 All those opposed?
I'm gonna abstain.
Okay. 4 yeses and 1 abstain. Motion carries. What do I do with that, Michael? Put that back in this folder here too? Do you,
Is that, there's no signature on it, is there?
and there's no place for the sign?
Yeah, no, it's just a motion. So
Castleton cares receipt, they're also,
they've received from us.
yeah.
I've got a copy, Bob, so it's good.
Okay. Does that need to go back to Nedra? No.
Yeah, I'll let her know tomorrow.
Yours
I got-
different? It's just a copy of this.
Yeah, just a copy.
Just a copy, yeah. They're all just, she provided me a copy of everything,
I
so.
didn't know she needs to keep those. All right, select board comments and or concerns. Mary Lee?
Rick Pontillo from the common area up at Crystal Beach, he reached out to me with an email. We have time to work on it, and I didn't feel I needed to give it to everybody tonight because we had enough stuff going on, but they are willing to help us out. They just have a few items that they want taken care of, which didn't seem to be out of the scope of what would need to be done anyway, so I'll bring that up at a later date. It's not really that important right now with ice on the lake, I don't think so.
Is that it, Rob?
That's all I got.
We're good.
You're good? Dick, what do you got?
I'm all set.
You're all set? I'm all set too. Oh,
Well, that just reminded me of something. Rick and a couple others went in and got a dredging permit. There's 3 of them. And they can dredge with, they have
There's
an
2 of them right now, and the second one isn't approved yet, I don't believe.
Okay, well, there's three people that had, I guess we're gonna apply is what he told me.
Yeah, right now, Rick got approved. His neighbor, I forget what her name is, she was still in draft stages.
But if they get to do that, one of the things he asked me about putting this stuff on land, and I said, I accepted that, and said I would love to have that material, because the town can use it to get rid of it, so he doesn't have to truck it, but once it's dewatered.
Yeah, I have to look at the permit closer too, because I'm not positive that they can dewater it in the area that they want to.
Okay.
So,
That's a discussion for a later date, guys.
Yep.
okay. You didn't have anything, Dick? You're all set?
No, I just threw my 1 cent out there.
Okay. I'm all set. Action items to be followed up on?
Got my list.
You guys all set? You all set, Dick, with that?
Yep, well, let's move on.
Okay, all right.
Sorry, I'm a little off my game tonight.
That's all right, buddy. That's okay.
I think we need to go into executive session for personnel.
We do.
Yes.
We do. And contracts?
I can probably do both of them under contracts that I
Both of them
have,
under contract.
unless you guys have something else,
I've
but
got
I,
a personnel.
Yeah, I
Oh, yeah,
think I
okay.
need to go to personnel also.
What do you want to do first?
personnel.
I make a motion that we're going to executive session to include the select board and town manager for the purpose of personnel.
Do I have a second on that?
I'll second it.
All those in favor to go into an executive session for personnel?
It's 9:23.
Aye.
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 Get an eye out of you too, Dick?
You went home.
He's not going home for a while, I don't think. Motion carries. We're in executive session.